Hi everyone, this is Francisco. I wanted to record this video because I have started a bunch of controlled fires and like in a container over, you know, the duration of my life. And I've tried to burn just about everything. Um I remember burning some batteries and they blow up, which is very dangerous. Wouldn't encourage or recommend or encourage anyone to do that. But I noticed that the plastic, any type of plastics, they burn and they actually turn into a oil, like a liquid. Once it turns into a liquid, you people out there can just feed the flame with nothing but plastic and it will just turn into like molten liquid and kind of like oil, like cooking oil, and it will actually keep the flames, the fire, going for a very long time. And obviously, the flames will eventually lick all the oil away. It'll just burn it all away. So, I guess on the news and all that, they were saying that plastic is a waste. It's a problem. So that's something that you guys can do out there is like basically like paying someone to burn the plastic safely or something like that. But definitely that is one way to clean this earth that we live in, if it is a problem. um I did notice, like, if there's water inside of the bottles, the containers, the plastic containers, then it will bubble up, kind of like adding water to a cooking pan. So just be careful if there is water. Attempt to remove as much water as possible from within the container, or that gets stuck around the container, because a lot of containers, they have like like water bottles, they have like these designs here, these little grooves. And well, if you're not careful, the water, well, I mean, some water's fine, but see how it gets stuck right there? So I mean, that's not a lot of water though. I'm talking about like if there's a lot of water, but that right there will be fine because there's like a chemical reaction. But yeah, I just felt like sharing this video with everyone out there because there is a time when I was watching like the news or whatever, and I think they shared some images like that of plastic being everywhere, like a plastic and wasteland type of thing. There's just so much of it everywhere. So basically, all you would need is some metal containers and some form of like napkins or toilet paper. And basically, it acts like a wick, like on a candle. And you just put a lot in that of that in there, and then once you get that going, it will just be a matter of feeding it the plastic, and it will just burn it all away. It will last for a very, very long time. So, plastic is valuable. I think that it might be oil in solid form. So I think that they do something so it could bond together. The bonding particles, I think they mix it with some form of resin, or they mix it with something, and it causes it to be hardened like this. But I think overall, I think it comes from vegetable oil, just like any type of oil. But they mix it up, and it creates this solid state. They convert it, and then it turns into a solid state. So yeah, um, and honestly, it doesn't even like produce a lot of fumes. It's like I've noticed it's a pretty clean fire. Um, and I've actually gone to the store, purchased vegetable oil just to start a fire, and it works. So if any of you were wondering, then now you guys know, you people know out there. And I've actually, created some fires like in a little canister, like a corn container. And basically, you know, you fill it up with oil, and you throw some toilet paper in there or some napkins, and then you just light the top of it, and it'll burn till it goes all the way to the bottom. So I've done that, and I put it like right underneath some logs, some fire logs. You guys can also create fires like that, control fires without buying, a bunch of stuff, like expensive stuff. So you guys can save money like this. If you guys ever go to the beach or whatever, you guys can take some oil, some canisters like that, some metal containers, and some paper towels or some napkins or some toilet paper to use as a wick, and then just light it up, and then like put it next to your logs, your firewood, and you'll be good to go. But yeah, like, what do you people think it is? I mean, after a certain degree, a certain temperature, the plastic just melts. So I even thought about creating a machine for people who would be interested in like creating plastic molds, creating plastic like stuff. And the way I thought about it was having a bunch of screens that would that would that will basically get very very hot at a just a certain temperature, though, just enough to melt the plastic, but not to, you know, ruin the the plastic liquid, and not to cause it to, like burn and like leave residue and all that. So basically, it will go through stages. You basically pile it up, it'll melt, the little pieces will fall, land on the next screen, and then the next screen, the next screen, the next screen. And eventually, by the time it reaches a certain distance, it will just be complete 100% liquid. And you guys can basically make plastic. Like, basically, you guys will be able to turn plastic bottles into solid cubes, or stuff like that, like bricks, to sell them or to reuse later on, to save them and then like reuse them later on. So this will be kind of good for recycling centers, especially if you people need to transport, you know, if you guys need to transport them long distances, you people won't be wasting like your space. Because right now the plastic bottles get crushed, but there's still a lot of space that can be filled in. But it also requires electricity, so I don't know if it's worth it. But I think it might be worth it for some people, depending on, like, or some businesses, depending on what they're using the plastic for. But yeah, technically that's what I seen. And it also, gets hardened. Um, once I think it gets hardened. Once it cools down, it might harden. So you people out there might not even need any screens. You people might be able to burn it. I mean, melt the plastic just using oil, existing oil. Basically, you would have to. The way I can see it is heating up oil in a big container to a certain temperature, and then feeding it with plastic bottles. And then eventually, once you finish feeding it, or once you add a certain amount of bottles inside of a container, then I think that it will self divide itself, the oil from the plastic. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to reuse the oil, and you will have a solid, uh, you know, brick or whatever, solid substance of plastic, which you guys can use for like whatever you guys want, for like using it for 3D printers or whatever. Um so the possibilities are endless, honestly. But you people would have to test it out because I have never tried that before. I guess I could try it like I can try it on a small scale just so I won't waste my time. Just so I can throw a few bottles in there, maybe like 5 or 10, and then letting it cool down as I have another fire going, and then later on, a week, a week or a day later, when once it cools down, I can go and look to see if the oil got separated from the plastic, and if it does do that, then what you people would have to do is create or buy a certain metal container, like a pan, so that the oil, I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, so that the plastic, I'm sorry, so that the plastic, once it hardens, it'll easily come out of that metal container without it getting stuck. So it's just like molds for concrete and stuff like that. So like something flat at the base, and then like instead of it being 90 degrees squared at the edges, it will be more like tilted outwards, more like 100, 110 degrees, 120 degrees, you know, so it won't just be like this. It'll have like a opening, like a V. So yeah, that stuff can just fall out. But like I said, I haven't tried it, so you people would have to try it, and then if it works, then you guys can do that. You guys will be able to do that type of stuff on a budget. It would just be a matter of you know starting some fire up, like a or a heater, and heating that oil to a very well, to a certain degree, just enough to melt the plastic, and then just feeding it with the plastic bottles, and that's all you people would have to do. So all this plastic waste, all these landfills or whatever, like that could be a gold mine for a lot of people, because a lot of the plastic is reusable. It's like concrete, or asphalt. The companies that pour the asphalt, they recycle it now, and then they put it in a miller or whatever, and it converts it, turns it back into like sand, and it turns it back to like dust, so they could remix it and add adhesive or whatever they do to create asphalt. So the same thing is true for plastic products. There's a lot of them out there. So so technically you guys will be able to melt the plastic products and plastic containers, whatever it might be, and that's the whole process of recycling, right? So these things can actually be sold, um, and probably I think it'll be more lucrative for people to recycle the plastic waste than it would be for people to sell plastic products to consumers, to people, because after a while people lose interest in certain plastic products that they found interesting at the moment at a store or wherever, or online or anywhere, right? But eventually they throw it away. And where does it go? It goes through landfills. And it goes, some of it probably goes on the water, and it goes to the ocean, and it leaves a mess everywhere. Right? So if we can figure this stuff out, and I don't know if this will work with just water. It might work with just water. Like, imagine heating up water to a certain temperature, hot boiling water, and then adding the plastic bottles. I don't really know what will work best. So you people would have to figure it out. Um, and figure it out. Like, even if it had a constant flow of fresh water in a container, and the molten plastic was transferred into another container for it to cool and turn into a solid state again. Um, I don't know if it will float to the top or if it will sink to the bottom. But let's say that it floated to the top. So what you people would have to do again is have a container that would have the, like the V shape. So once it hardens, it will just be a matter of, you know, getting it unstuck from around the walls, and then it will just be one solid state, one solid brick, one big slab. And that big slab can then be cut. It can be cut into pieces, or it could just be shipped out like that to companies or whatever, or whatever people use plastic for in its solid form. Because right now, um, it seems like we don't really know what to do with it. And, we need to figure something out, because it's causing a problem to our world or whatever. So I guess that's one solution if it works. And, well, I think there's two. I offered two solutions, right? Or three. Three solutions. I know the first one works. The fire, burning the plastic, that works. I do it all the time. Now, melting it with oil, or melting it with water and then allowing it to cool down, that's a whole different experiment altogether. So you people would have to experiment on that, because, technically I don't have the money to be experimenting like that. I don't know if other people do, but possibly people can. But that's big business. Because, you know, this stuff will be able to get fed into 3D printers and, stuff like that. And you people will be able to make stuff, create stuff practically for free. So, have fun, everyone. And remember, you're dealing with oil, a fire. You're dealing with molten plastic. If it lands on your flesh, you will get burned. So be very careful. The water makes it so much dangerous as well. It makes it more dangerous as well because it splashes. And you're talking about, some powerful hot liquid that if it lands on your flesh, it'll fucking burn the shit out of you. So you don't want that. So just be safe out there, people. And have fun. God bless America.